Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here on Zoom or tuning in on Facebook Live for our pipeline panels. It's a partnership between the Pipeline for Change Foundation and the nonprofit of the San Francisco Giants, the Giants Community Fund. My name is Stephanie St. Amour, and I'm the Executive Director of the Pipeline for Change Foundation, committed to building an environment where every facet of the game is filled with diverse decision makers, leading to a richer and more diverse and representative game and just society. Using baseball and softball as the vehicle, the Giants Community Fund seeks to health, education, and character development to empower youth to be giants on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. The goal of Pipeline Panels is to use the platform of professional supports for social change to provide the space to discuss topics that are not always easy, but necessary for uniting our community, like representation in sports, and to advocate for equity. Our topic today is disabilities and their representation and inclusion in the sports world and beyond. This topic is particularly meaningful to me because I have my own physical disabilities. It's often been as a child that I was sitting on the sidelines and watching as my friends participated in activities that I couldn't, or when I'm in a wheelchair being overlooked as people talk to the others around me. Increasing diversity is meaning that as we increase access in sports, creating spaces for people like me and some of the panelists that we have on today, because even as it means that may not look a little bit more traditional, that our sports are more representative of the world that is around us. And with that, I would like to introduce some of our panelists today. We have here with us Andrew Bailey. Andrew made his Major League debut in 2009 and won the 2009 American League Rookie of the Year award. He was an All-Star in 2009 and 2010 when he was the closer for the Athletics. He's currently the pitching coach for the San Francisco Giants. Also joining us here today is Teddy, his daughter. Teddy is involved in musical theater, enjoys acting, and she also has cerebral palsy. Also joining our panel today is Jock Pederson. Jock is currently an outfielder for the San Francisco Giants. He's previously played for the Los Angeles Dodgers, Chicago Cubs, and Atlanta Braves, two-time World Series champion, two-time All-Star. Also with him is Champ Pederson. Champ is his older brother. He's an advocate for individuals with Down syndrome and other disabilities. Sports are his passion. He's a motivational speechwriter and speaker. Champ helps promote the value of friendship and integrated employment for individuals with disabilities. And our final guest is, of course, Gabe Kapler, manager of the San Francisco Giants and founder of the Pipeline for Change Foundation. And so with that, I'd like to kick it off with Andrew Bailey. Andrew, if you don't mind telling us a little bit of the story with your daughter, Teddy, and why you're here today.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, thanks for having us. It's a privilege to be here. The work of Pipeline is amazing, and I'm honored to be a guest here with my daughter Teddy tonight. We have three children. Teddy's our oldest. She just turned 11 on July 2nd. She was born in 2012. Immediately, she was born about 6 weeks early, kind of had some complications at birth, immediate surgery on her esophagus. We knew there were some developmental issues right away. We hadn't been living in Connecticut in the time, and we're introduced to the Birth of Three program, where they monitor her development. At 18 months old, she was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. Once we had the diagnosis, kind of continuing to monitor growth and development, has had a multitude of surgeries in just her young life. I think she's had 6 total surgeries. One of the biggest surgeries she had was selective dorsal rhizotomy surgery, which we moved out to St. Paul, Minnesota for, which was about an 8-week inpatient therapy program and surgery, pretty invasive in the spinal column. Did some nerve reconstruction to limit the tone and spasticity in her lower extremities. She's going into 5th grade, which we're super excited about. Enjoying summer. They're actually flying out here on Saturday, so we're excited for that. over the course of Teddy's life, she's partaken in a variety of sports and activities. Always proud of her accomplishments. I think joining this panel, having firsthand experience with a child with disabilities has been eye-opening. I think the culture and the society that we live in is hopefully continuing to move in the right direction in terms of acceptance and accessibility. Teddy's just always making us proud. She is a light around everybody else, makes everyone else smile, and nothing really holds her back. And we let her define herself. So Teddy, thanks for joining tonight as well.
Thank you, Teddy.
You're welcome.
How about that? Have you found it any more difficult to participate in sports and activities, or have you found it maybe easier because of the experiences that you've had with your surgeries and needing to go through rehab and therapy because of that?
No.
How about Champ? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your disability?
Okay, my name is Champ Pederson, everyone, and my disability is the person I am today, and not Down syndrome. It's who I am, but it doesn't define who I am or everything. I overcome fears, obstacles, and all kinds of things. So I'm staying positive, and I'm feeling good about myself.
And Jack, can you tell us a little bit about sports in your family growing up? I know it seems like you have a lot of experience with that across your family.
Yeah, it was a pretty sporty family. My dad played baseball for 13 years professionally, so and also college football. So it was we grew up kind of being in a sports family, and I have two older brothers. Champ's the oldest, Tiger, myself, and then JC. And Tiger played professional baseball. My sister played college soccer at UCLA. And Champ supported us throughout this whole time, and we've got to support him on special occasions at Special Olympics, Challenger Little League, just other places in the Bay Area that have put together sport, whether it's basketball, hockey, soccer, for people with disabilities in the area. And we've been so happy to be able to support that and go out and watch and coach when we have the time. And Champ loves it, and it makes him feel like us, because he can't, on an everyday basis, he can't go compete on a high school field or a middle school basketball court. So for that, it means the world that they're doing that.
Yeah, it's meaningful.
Hey Champ, I have a question for you. When you're at the ballpark with us, do you ever get in the cage or out on the field and do anything, like from a baseball perspective, any other sports? And for anybody that's not aware, Champ is at the ballpark a lot with us, and various activities and leading the way on a lot of fronts. So I was just curious, Champ, from your perspective.
Yeah, my perspective, like you said, I've been with the golfing club, on field stuff, not with the Giants, not doing BP, but sometimes I'll come out and I'll partake, but I haven't. So I want to do more.
Yeah, and I think it's been really cool being over here. The Giants have been so supportive and got Champ hooked up at the golfing club, and then so he gets to work there, and he works in the clubhouse. He worked in the clubhouse during spring training, and it's just fun to see him interact with my peers and the connection that he has with them. And then just watching from the outside, and then those same people coming up to me saying how Champ puts a smile on their day or keeps life in perspective, and just different, so many positive responses that I get to hear from just having him around. And I think that's like the coolest part is watching him interact with guys in the clubhouse, coaching staff, clubbies. The clubbies have been so good with him, and it's the inclusiveness. It's really special what the Giants have done.
It's a cruising and being right there at the front of the field or behind the scenes and just a part of the team that wanted me. So yeah.
Kind of on that note, Andrew, have you seen any shift in perspective with your career, having gone what you've gone through as a family with Teddy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think all of the organizations I've been with as a player and coach have been tremendous. I mean, it touches so deep in terms of always finding new doctors or orthopedic surgeons or opportunities to try new treatments or surgeries more invasive. So from a baseball perspective, it's really opened the door to give Teddy an amazing life, to be able to for us, like we would have never found the most invasive procedure she had done I guess about 5 years ago, unless we were with another organization. At that point, I was with the Yankees and talking to their orthopedic surgeons who kind of led me along the way. So from that perspective, it's been a blessing to always have amazing care, to be able to give back to Hospital for Special Surgery in St. Paul, Minnesota, where we've done some good work there over the past few years, always visiting patients. And really that was such a change. But from Teddy's perspective, I can only speak for her, but there's so many opportunities for kids her age, whether it's soccer or, like Jock said, Challenger Little League, from a sporting perspective. Now Teddy's drawn more towards music theater and acting, and she's currently in a acting class and camp for the summer. This is her second one. She's got a big play tomorrow. She's got a big part where she's memorizing lines and acting with kids without disabilities, and it's so inclusive, and that can give her opportunities as she continues to mature and high school and college and all of those things. So feels like every facet, there's opportunities for everybody, and continuing to create awareness and pounding the door for more and more is what we're here doing.
And Gabe, sort of thinking about this, obviously you're pretty reliant on physical ability and have been for a long time. How does this sort of affect your perspective as you're thinking about disabilities and interacting with a sport that's so physical and so reliant on physical abilities?
Well, I actually think it's really interesting to hear Bales and Jock both talk, and Champ and Teddy as well. So I guess more than anything else, I'm just kind of listening for cues on how to help and how to be supportive of any challenges that come up. And the first one, surprisingly, is more something that every family deals with. And I'm kind of curious from your perspective, Teddy, what it's like to have your dad be away from home so much. I know that with my own kids, I think that was a huge challenge, and I wonder what it's like for you.
Well, it's kind of hard, but I can deal with it, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like you can deal with just about anything. But so when you come around the ballpark, maybe this is actually a good thing that we can all talk about. When you come around the ballpark, do you feel connected to the sport, to baseball at all? And what does baseball mean to you, if anything?
I guess. I mean,
what does baseball mean to you? What do you think about baseball?
baseball is great, and every time I come to the stadium, I feel like I'm back, I guess.
Back.
Yeah.
Like home.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, I think that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish, Teddy. I think, and think Stephanie is so passionate about this, and for good reason. We want you to feel like when you walk into our clubhouse that you feel like you're home, and obviously you're closer to your dad, so that helps. And Champ, when you're in our stadium, we want you to feel like you're home. But generally speaking, we want everybody to feel like it's a space that's they can feel confident in, and like they belong in, and like the people who live in that space already are going to surround them with support so that they can feel like the most confident versions of themselves. So Steph, just to answer your question directly, yeah, I mean, I haven't been met with the same physical challenges as Champ and as Teddy. So I feel like it's sort of my responsibility and my honor to be able to try to create spaces for not just Teddy and Champ, but for, you know, people who are dealing with physical and other disabilities.
And Jock, one of the things you mentioned was sort of going through the experience of supporting Champ when he was competing in Challenger and the Special Olympics and so on. What differences did you notice between your experiences and his experiences? And how do you think that we can start making some steps towards a little bit more inclusive environments for both disabled and non-disabled athletes?
I think it's very similar to what Gabe has mentioned, is like, when I think the whole goal is deeper than sports. I think it's just part of being like Champ is, and Teddy and people with disabilities are people too, that they also need functioning jobs every day that gives them purpose, that they're showing up, and basically they're treated the same. Like, I know that maybe Champ with Down syndrome can't do everything that I can do in a workplace, but he does some stuff better than what I can do. And it's just like finding strengths in what they have and making an environment inclusive so they can show up and be confident and the best version of themselves, which will normalize, like, if you saw 5 people at the field in our clubhouse, in every clubhouse we went to with disabilities, it would be completely normal. And they, you know, if one was a bat boy or one whatever it was, and it would normalize everything, and then I think it would just become more common. And that's what we're trying to push, is to normalize sports with people with disabilities, jobs, life, just so they don't look down upon because they look different, or they talk different, or they walk different. Just treating everyone the same. So, yeah.
We are all walks of life and caught upon unexpected weaknesses, and mental health is important, but it's also mostly ourselves as people with disabilities, and that's just who we are as people. So just want everyone to know that we are not young, but we have jobs and we need jobs. So it's important to feel this way because it's who we are.
And Champ, do you feel that people expect you to talk about your disability first, or do you feel like people generally treat you as a person first?
I'm gonna say no at first, because as a person, yes, because it's who I am as a person. I'm more than that. It doesn't define who I am and everything. It just, I'm a completely opposite of it. I'm just myself, speaking for myself, and I speak from the heart, and it's a yell for the game.
Yeah, and I think that's like been a really cool thing too, is he does some things really well in the clubhouse, and the clubhouse guys have told me, and it's like, hey Champ, go do this, and it's just, he goes and does it, and it's just the same as if Riley or if somebody else would do it, and getting treated the same, and he's able to complete tasks and help out and just be a add to the positivity of the culture that we have going. And more people with disabilities can add to the sporting world. And I would love to see that. And yeah.
And has that been sort of your experience consistently, or have you faced times when that hasn't been the case?
Luckily, I've been part of some really cool organizations that are really inclusive. There's a clubby with the Los Angeles Dodgers named RJ who has autism, and he's awesome. And whenever we play the Dodgers, he comes over and he gives the biggest hugs, and he's got a huge smile on his face. It just is very uplifting. And yeah, I just think that it's really cool, and it gives him purpose in life. He's part of the Dodgers family. He's Champ's part of the Giants family, and it means everything to them. It means it's fun for the people around them as well. So it's really cool where the direction it's headed in.
I use RJP as an inspiration because in my motivation is that it's who we are as people, and we're just stronger than but it's just something that we come by, and we just want to feel you're welcome, feel at home, like Gabe said, and everything is possible.
Steph, can I chime in here for 1 sec? So just listening to Champ talk a little bit, and Jock in particular talk about like finding different kinds of strengths, and because Pipeline is really about creating diverse leadership across professional sports and ultimately seeing society reflect that diversity in leadership. And because I know you and I've seen your leadership qualities, can you talk a little bit about how it's been more challenging for you to get into some of the leadership positions that you've got into, and then also ways that, doors can be more open for leaders like you?
I think that it's when you show up to your job or whatever you're doing every day with a positive attitude, and you care about the people around you, and you treat people with respect in the way that you want to be treated, and you really care about people, then you start building relationships, you start building trust, you start, like, it's just deeper than saying, hey, what's up, and then you understand that they understand that you have their back, and they have yours, and that turns into respect. And then once you start having respect and trust from people, it turns into, and your people start, I don't know, I guess they start following, and I guess you become more of a leader just by your showing up with a positive attitude every day. And I've got to participate and help out and coach a lot of people with disabilities, and that's probably the one characteristic that I've always noticed is the positivity, the smile that they put on your faces. And I did a softball event in Mexico City when we were there, and there was probably 100 kids with disabilities, and MLB helped put it on. But it was like the happiest day of their life. And they're like that almost every single day they interact with you. And it makes you feel light, and their energy is contagious. So I don't.
Doc said, anything is possible, and is here at the plan, listener, and is here to help people out and be the best person of themselves.
Steph, can you take a crack at the same leadership question?
Sure, I can speak from my own experiences. It can certainly be a little bit challenging sometimes when you have when you have some disabilities happening. And sort of like I said from the start, sometimes showing up in a wheelchair, I've experienced simply being in that wheelchair, having people look straight over my head and talk to others around me, and it's like I'm not even in the room, simply from the fact of being in a wheelchair, and needing to advocate and push just that much harder simply by the fact of having the disabilities, becomes very much a thing. Whereas if I am interacting virtually or on the phone, via text message, via email, and there's no notice of the disability, people don't know about it, I get a very different response. So a lot of times it's just advocating for myself, needing to push a little harder, needing to let people know that I'm not going to be taken for granted. I'm not going to be shut out from the room. But I think most people, once they catch themselves, are willing to overlook that. Sometimes there are physical challenges. Sometimes that there are things that I know I can't do. I know that I'm not going to be able to push through those physical abilities that others have access to, and sometimes there's going to need to be adaptation. Sometimes there's going to need to be an adjustment, and sometimes I have to just say, well, that's not going to be something that I'm going to be able to do right now. But I can modify it and nevertheless still achieve most of my goals when I'm looking to get somewhere that I'd like to go. And maybe sort of along that, Bales and Teddy, have you found any accessibility issues in the activities that Teddy, you want to do? Anything that you've struggled with doing, or Bales, have you found anything that you've needed to sort of get creative with looking for that Teddy has wanted to do?
I mean, it always seems the access at her age seems to be pretty good. I mean, she's done a variety of activities, whether it's assisted or by herself, including like, rock climbing or going to, friends' parties, at school with a para, or help there. I think as a society, there's a fear from people to ask questions when they're genuinely curious. So I think education is always key. I think when Teddy partakes in a new event or a new activity, one of the first questions are there any limitations? And she's still exploring herself. She's still growing and developing and testing her own limits. But for me, I feel like, some of those experiences where people may ask about, Teddy's braces, or she has those experiences in school with peers. There's a general curiosity from kids her age of wanting to understand. And I think as we get into kind of adulthood and the older we get, there's kind of just there can be just kind of like an overseeing, like you experienced, Stephanie, where the adults are a little bit more hesitant to ask questions, or are just as curious but aren't as open as children. We'll be out at a trampoline park with my two older ones, and kids will ask Teddy or ask me, or the adults will ask me, well, the kids specifically, but the adults are a little bit more tentative than the other ones, and I've seen that as a parent of a younger kid with special needs, is that the peers of Teddy and are a little bit more curious and not unfiltered, but ask really good questions, and we give straight answers. And it's just kind of sometimes the adults are the ones that kind of are a little bit more weary in terms of this light keeps going off, in terms of asking questions or their curiosity.
Okay, so I'll ask you a question. Teddy, what do you want people to know about kids who are living with disabilities?
Well, I want other kids to know that, I have braces, and they might just be like when I'm at school, I always get like the question like, why do you have braces? And I'm like, well, I have CP, so braces help me walk. And like also when I'm at school, I get a lot like people just walk by me and they will like not stare at me, but like just see me with my shoes on, and they're probably thinking in like their head like, oh, what is that girl wearing?
Is there anything that people ask that you would like for them not to ask, or is there anything that you would like for them to ask if they're curious about it?
There's a lot of things that I want them to ask, but also not to ask about my braces and stuff.
If they're curious, how should they ask the question? How would you like for them to ask the question?
Like how like how did you get the braces, instead of just asking like, like where did you get the braces?
I think a lot of times kids want to be better friends to you and aren't necessarily sure how. And so part of this conversation is helping to educate of how can people be better friends? And Champ would do the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. That's right.
How can someone be a good friend to come up and ask you good questions?
Yeah, people come up to me and ask questions. It is who we are as people, as human beings. People ask questions because they want help, they want something, or if they want something, they can ask me for anything. If they want to ask, I'm not afraid to give my opinion or answer.
I think something that is more bothersome that I would like to see kind of change is the use of the R word. I think the R word it sometimes just gets thrown around a lot, and I know it's pretty offensive and it bothers Champ a lot. So that's one thing that I don't know. I just think that it's a little insensitive.
Yeah, the R word is very sensitive, and nobody like to be called that, and that's very hurtful for the dead metal and physical no ability for people of who we are and everything.
Have you noticed that that's getting better, that people are using that less?
Maybe less, but I still think it's a lot more common than other derogatory words that are out there.
If it's a negative word, and we don't like it so much, we don't use that word. So
That makes sense. And Andrew, what about, how would you encourage adults to come up to you and ask questions?
Yeah, I mean, I think genuine curiosity is okay. I mean, I'm really not offended. I would rather help educate an adult rather than have them kind of thinking for themselves. Education there in terms of like case by case or general awareness is great. A lot of the times, Teddy is able to keep up with her peers. Like I said, whether it's activities, trampoline parks or we had VIP soccer league she partaked in, or the Miracle League of Connecticut, or like we've been talking about, like Challenger Little League. I think support is huge, but in terms of asking me, it's just I really don't know how to answer that question in terms of I'm okay with people asking questions. I think it's I think genuine curiosity is fine. I'm not offended by it. There are, Teddy does have a disability, and I think questions are okay, to be honest with you. I don't know if everybody else feels the same way, but Stephanie or Cap Jock, do you guys feel similarly?
Something that I've noticed too by hanging around Champ and other people with disabilities are it's funny. And then I hang around with professional athletes, baseball players all the time, and Champ and a lot of they don't complain. They don't feel bad for themselves. They don't want people feeling bad for them. And yet you're around professional athletes that all the time are looking for people to feel bad for them or how tough they have it or stuff like that. And yeah, like they're not, Champ's not embarrassed that he has Down syndrome. I can't speak for everyone, but like if you have a question or and talk to him respectfully, he'll have a great conversation with you. And yeah, that would be my thing is like they don't just, you might look at them differently, but they're looking at life through the same eyes we are, and they're trying to accomplish the same things that we are, just in their ways. So yeah, that's my biggest thing.
Just proud of who we are, and we're just like everyone else. We're out there, we're outgoing, we're smart, we're good people, and just who we are as people, and we just have special abilities, and we just find ways to overcome those things, and we just do the best we can, and we find a way to build foundations, and we gotta start building together as a team.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion, I certainly have no issues, no qualms with any questions or have any issues talking about my own personal experiences, my own personal disabilities. I don't necessarily go out and advertise it, but if someone has questions or curiosities about what I have and what I've experienced, I'm always perfectly happy to answer any questions or have any discussions. And I would rather people certainly come up and ask me anything that they want to know rather than sort of silently speculating, and definitely rather have that than someone avoiding me for it or feeling uncomfortable and staying away from me because they don't know how to start the conversation or how to have the interaction. I'd rather them just come up and ask than trying to feel awkward about it. So I'm curious, Jock, obviously your family is very into sports. Do you feel like sports has brought you as a family closer together generally?
I think sports have a really cool dynamic of bringing people together and creating awesome moments and memories. But I wouldn't say that it I don't know. I think our family's pretty close, and whether we had sports or not, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess sports could help do that, but like we do a lot of stuff outside of sports that are really fun together.
Working in the sports world, being involved with family is important to me because family is that number one to make that. It's just working for the Golden Warriors that taught me valuable lessons and taught me along the way. And they taught me how to win a championship. And I just involved with my brother because he's family to me, and I'm a big brother. So big brother is watching.
Gabe, how empowering do you think that sports can be for someone with a disability in particular?
It's a challenging question for me to answer, obviously. But I think that anything that gives somebody an outlet and that makes them feel like strong and capable is going to be empowering. Yeah, I mean, I really don't know how empowering it can be. and I'd be much more interested in hearing other people's perspectives on that one.
Champ, what do you think?
Think what Gabe has said, pretty good. I would say, as a whole, as a team, as a community, we're one, we're a family, a culture, and I believe in Gabe's mission.
And what do you feel like when you get to work for the Giants and go to the field every day?
Yeah, what I feel about going to the field every day and coming to work, going in every day means something I really I look forward on doing, and I just look forward to going every day. And just baseball's in my family, baseball's in my DNA, baseball's in my blood. It just I love the game as it is. It's the love of the game.
And how does it feel to feel like you're part of that team?
I just love being part of that team. It's something special, and being part of that team is we have a unique bond, and I believe in the mission, and I just feel like being involved with the team makes me feel important.
And Andrew, how's it felt to see Teddy be able to participate in these activities with her peers and with her teammates?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I think as parents, we definitely don't want her disability to define her. We want her to, chase her dreams and reach her own heights. And I watching your child compete in anything is amazing. And I think for her, I can only assume that in those moments, there's a sense of fulfillment and accomplishment. Just like a child without disabilities. I remember, Ted, you remember when you scored all those goals in the VIP soccer league?
Yeah,
Did you, how'd that make you feel?
good.
Yeah. You got some free kicks, right? And you kicked it by your coach a bunch of times, and you ran down some balls and scored some goals against the other team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk about that at all?
Um,
What do you like about soccer?
I really like soccer, but I do kind of miss it. But I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. And how'd your teammates make you feel?
Happy.
Happy.
Yeah. So so Steph, you asked me that question, obviously, about like how empowering can it be? And then Bales was much better at asking the questions and getting the answer from Teddy, which is really what answered the question for me, right? When Teddy talked about scoring goals, like there's a huge smile on her face. Like you can clearly see the happiness and the fulfillment and the confidence. So I mean, that's the answer, straight from Teddy.
And Champ, obviously you do a lot of speaking, a lot of speech writing to people advocating for people with disabilities. What advice do you have for someone who might be interested in pursuing getting involved in sports, getting involved in something with a team, but might be a little bit nervous about it?
That they can actually talk to me about it, about how I feel, my experience and everything. It just I just feel about kids playing sports is that it really comes true for them. I just want them to feel that they don't have to worry so much. And playing sports is a good thing. It's not a negative thing. It's something they can do together as a team, come together and build relationships with them and coach them in some aspect of life that we're all in together.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit about confidence so far, and Champ, but you come across to me as like one of the more confident people anywhere, and you just seem very comfortable. I'm curious if you ever get nervous. Do you ever get nervous?
I do at times. I do get nervous, but when I have speech therapy, and that helped me a lot. So having speech helped me a lot and helped me with speaking. And I got involved with Best Buddies. So I'm a motivational speaker and a global ambassador for Best Buddies. So I get my message across.
Can you talk a little bit about the Best Buddies?
And the Best Buddies program is a chapter, is a global organization. They do a lot of things for me and my family, but it's mostly me because I'm a ambassador for them. So I can talk more about it. It's a organization. It's a global organization. Anthony Swiver is the founder of Best Buddies. So he started it in 1989 at Georgetown University. So it's full force.
And so you think sports has helped your confidence, and you would encourage youth and kids and teenagers to get involved in sports if they're thinking about it?
Yes, I to think about it. Yeah, with kids, teenagers, and sports, I just think it's a good idea because who we are, and just it's a change for people that want to do play sport because we all want to play sports, and with disabilities, it just. I was in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and I was one of those kids that play ball myself, and I'm a huge part of kids today that want to play ball or sports in general.
Yeah, and I mean, I can only talk as from what I see from the outside and his reactions and other people's reactions, but a lot of people view baseball, basketball, football, or sports as there's 9 guys out there, and they're the only ones there. But there's a lot of people that make the Giants go, that are behind the scenes, and they're all just as invested as all the players, and they feel the losses the same that we do. They celebrate the wins and the victories just like us. And people with disabilities in Champ are in that. And like he said, he used to work for the Warriors. He helped out in the front office, and he got a ring, and he'll talk about his NBA Finals ring, and people that are working for the Giants in the front office or in the clubhouse or coaching staff, it's all one big family that are all pulling on the same string. So Champ or RJ with the Dodgers that are working with the team they're part of the family, and they are just as invested as all of us. And they're when we go on a 5-game skid, they're feeling it, and it hurts, and and they're celebrating when we're winning games and walking off. Just because they're not on the field doesn't mean they're not invested and caring. And so I don't think it matters, disability, no disability. They're just as invested, and I see the emotional reactions, positive and negative, from the outside looking in.
For the people with feeling that we just want to be like RJP, myself, Champ. We just want the same for all these athletes, professional athletes, and we just want the same for everyone. So we are the winning culture. We are the Giants, and I believe in this team.
Champ, is there anything we need to do for the next couple of months to go to the postseason, go to the playoffs? What do we have to do?
All we have to do is get better. Try to get until August 1st. But I know we could do a lot better. But I just saying, I'm not going to say much. I know you, Gabe, as a manager, I want you to do better, and we all doing our job.
Love it. We're on it.
Yeah.
What about you, Andrew? Do you think that do you have anything that you would say to parents that are thinking about whether or not, as they're making the decision to enroll their children
In sports activities? Yeah, 100%. I think the sense of accomplishment, you know, whether you have disabilities or not, I mean, fulfillment is huge. Achievement, sense of culture, camaraderie, you know, building relationships, people skills. It's for everybody. Kids with special needs, kids without needs. I feel blessed that we've lived in baseball has brought us a lot of different places, coast to coast. And everywhere we go, there's inclusive activities, multiple sports. Teddy's able to kind of try a variety of things and chase her dreams and aspirations, and have that sense of learning how to be a good teammate. This sense of like Jock talked about of winning and losing together. I think that's really important as you grow up, and how to be a good teammate when someone's down, and when you score a goal, celebrate with someone. Or so I would absolutely encourage parents, and it's sometimes can be hard and honestly overwhelming. It's you as a parent, you have your own questions. Is it too much? Can she handle it? Or and you have to understand that it's difficult. It was difficult for us early on, a lot of unknowns, and now we obviously let her do whatever she wants to do, whatever she wants to partake in, whether it's swimming, musical theater, all of those things. So yeah, absolutely, just try everything. And I think there can be more awareness over the variety and amount of programs for kids with disabilities specifically. And honestly, like I don't know, obviously I'll follow the trajectory of my own daughter, but even getting more involved in potential activities for adults with special needs. I know we have a event coming up at Oracle for some Challenger SF programs, and fortunately my family would be out here, and Teddy asked if she could be not a participant but a big buddy. So I thought that was really cute, and so she's going to help volunteer and help out with the kids for the SF Challenger Little League. And but yeah, I would absolutely advise parents of young kids with disabilities to be as active as possible. I think it's mightily important.
Really appreciate it, and really appreciate everyone for coming on and for joining this panel and participating. And with that, I think we're kind of running out of our time here, but I wanted to say thank you to all of you, to Andrew, and thank you to Teddy, to Jock, to Champ, Gabe. Thank you for joining us, and everyone, thank you for joining us for Pipeline for Panels. And please stay tuned for the next episode, and follow the Giants Community Fund, follow Pipeline for Change, and tune in to our next episode coming out in August. Thank you all for joining us. Appreciate it.
Nice job, Steph. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good job, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Nice job, Steph. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Yes.